It is pointless to resist.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Starlight Digest, a podcast bringing line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 246, being recorded on February 14th, 2024. I am your host, Darth Moocher, and you can see I'm all alone. I'm all solo today. The other guys decided to partake in the social pressures of St. Valentine's Day, so they're home doing their thing or out on dates, so everybody can wave to them. I've got my red lights back there in celebration of Valentine's Day. I've got my Star Wars celebration or Valentine's Day shirt on. Hate never dies. Love is great. No time for love, Dr. Jones. Let's do this. But before we get into everything, of course, we got to shout out our Shadow Council and everybody who's being digested in a pit. So I'm running this all by myself today. So give and take a little bit of screw ups here and there. So let's get this. Shadow Council shouted out AJ from the Forbidden Panel, Brandon Anya Epler, Brian C, Cliff, Crystal E, Dennis McGrath, Don the Dad Dorn, Eric Grubb, Flavy Davy, formerly of the Nerds of Attitude podcast, Gavin Connor from the Holy Hour All Cure podcast, Justin Vanilla Thunder, Luke, aka Junk Droid 77, Mervine Bolanos, Matt Logic, Nicholas Schaefer, Papa Schmitty, Ryan, and the Star Joe's podcast. Thank you so much, Shadow Council, for everything that you guys do. We've got so much stuff coming out pretty soon because we are coming across our episode 250, which is a huge milestone for us. And we are putting that Shadow Council money into good use. So if anybody feels so inclined, go ahead and scan that QR code, get involved, join the Shadow Council. And see what's all about, to be a part of the show, actually be a part of the show. So what we have digesting in the pit. Also, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's see here. Again, trying to do this all by myself. He's the first comment. Welcome. We got Rhino Hobbies being digested. And of course, Don the Dad Dorn. And he also says happy Valentine's Day to everyone and hi. Yes. And also, they are hanging out with their better halves. I agree with that. Knowing the guys. So yeah, Mando Mike checking in also. Hey guys, and Gal or two at work early and can actually watch. Well, thanks, Mike. If you were home, I'd have you on. I mean, I'm again running solo here. We'll see what's going on. And of course, we've got Bootleg Joe. Stepped in a real quick. Well, okay, cool. I can't read that, Joe, but I think you should be here because you actually went on a date last night, so you had a pre-Valentine's show. But anyway, I digress. Which is funny because I was saying like running a solo show, and I was thinking like, what is the perfect Star Wars date movie to watch? And it's got to, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got to be Solo, right? It's actually like a great date movie, and it's a perfect Valentine's one because it serves two purposes. It has the people like me running solo and people who have dates. So, so that's like one of those things I had to think about. Like, what of all the Star Wars movies, that's the one I think that would be a great date movie. We also have Matt Logic checking in. Evening all. So, I encourage audience participation in tonight's episode. We're going to run, the usual thing. Sorry if it's just me droning on. I have nobody to bounce ideas off of, but we're going to, hopefully the audience is with me on some subjects that I'm going to bring up, some controversial, and it's going to be my opinion, and the other guys are not here to debate it. And also, do I have a free pass to bitch about the sequels? I don't know. I don't know the rules on that. I know that there's been a thing about not talking about the sequels in a negative way, but I mean, if nobody here to mute me, then I might be able to have a free pass on that. I don't know. We'll see. So Mando Mike, solo or episode 2 for all the mushy stuff. Well, there is the marriage at the end of it, right? But I think Solo has like the date parameters, right? Han Solo finding Kira or losing Kira, finding Kira, losing her at the end again, but there's a love story that goes through the whole thing, and of course the title, which is kind of gone betting on. But before we got before I get into like some stuff that's happening this whole week, we are next week we have Bad Batch season 3 first 3 episode premiere. That's next week, so of course we're going to be breaking that down to the T. Thank you, Don the Dad. I have a free pass to complain. I have to keep it PG. Santo 1414, happy Star Wars Valentine's Day. We have Gavin Connor checking in. Hey guys, what's up? So next week we run into Bad Batch season. We've got the next, I think, 4 or 5 weeks of Bad Batch talk. So we have 3 episodes to break down. That's going to be interesting. There was I think it was a tweet that the Omega actress had tweeted out, talking about the Bad Batch. And I'm just going to bring this up briefly because, of course, I don't want to give any too heavy spoilers. But this is what I'll say. That she mentioned that the finale of the Bad Batch season 3 actually has like different alternate endings that they had recorded. So they have different directions that they decided to go, and there was one that they're going all in on, and she called it a bittersweet moment. So that's the first flag that I have was like, oh, let's get that Rogue One moment where we just end it all, and so there is no possibilities of like, and not because I hate the characters, just that it's that emotional tie that could happen, right? Especially with Omega. Like a lot of our talks come in like, can Omega, survive all the Bad Batch stuff and come into the later shows like Ahsoka, a Mandalorian, or team up with like Boba Fett as the Alpha and the Omega, right? They're twins in a sense, but it'd be interesting to see how the Bad Batch plays out, how everything works. That whole bittersweet comment has a lot of questions to be raised, right? So we'll see. As far as next week's episode, I'm not really expecting too much, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's right out the gate, just like punches us in the face, and then we just go full on this Bad Batch journey. I'm hoping of no more of the same is what I was like kind of like hoping for. We've already established what they're doing. We've got the pieces on the table as far as like the danger. They got the clones being dismissed, all that stuff. So let's get into some real grit, some real finalizing plot points and see where these characters go. But it'd be interesting anyway. But next week starts the Bad Batch season. I'm going Andor season 2. So again, this is one of those benefits where I could do this by myself and I don't have to have anybody else saying, oh, Andor. But Andor season 2 finished wrapping, which is great. I am so looking forward to it because I that is our adult Star Wars film or series. And crossing my fingers though, taking on Chris's point on the show where he says like it's a different avenue of Star Wars, more political and that kind of stuff, where it doesn't have that force, doesn't have Star Wars, which I agree with. I think it would be a miss if they didn't include something Vader-ish, something even the Inquisitor, right? Inquisitors would be around too. So I would be the current production team that's in charge with Andor. I would love for them to dive into that kind of aspect of Star Wars, Force, dark side, or sabers or whatever. That would be interesting to me. But we'll see on that. But that finished wrapping filming also. So moving on to the controversial subjects of it. So I was gonna say this. We had a scare last week when Empire Magazine posted a Instagram or tweet, whatever, and it said ... hello there in the Star Wars green blue font and everything and moving forward. So everybody's running with like, well, why would Empire Magazine, that they're knowing they're with Ewan McGregor, they're doing an interview with them in the cast of Phantom Menace because it's the 25th anniversary of that. Why would that tweet? That's a very specific tweet to put out and photo to put out to not announce a Kenobi season 2 or something else, right? And right away, everybody was like, Kenobi season 2 is like, why else would you do that? And I was like, man, I think it's just an interview. I think it's just a interview. I don't think it's anything for it. I think it was just announcing that Ewan McGregor was going to be in part of this interview. So it turns out it was just an interview. It was just the cast getting kind of together and reminiscing about 25 years ago when Phantom Menace came out. And a lot of them said that they loved they loved their experiences and they love to return. I think Samuel Jackson was in there saying something like, I want to return. He's alive. Mace Windu's alive. And put me back in, coach, kind of deal, right? So, and I'm sure that the whole talk came with Ewan McGregor also saying like, season 2 of Kenobi, I want to return, all that stuff. So, I mean, we talked about this on the show too, but I don't know. I'm in the camp of less is more a lot of times, as much as like Kenobi, see what we're going to see. Is it going to be Kenobi with Luke this time? More of that relationship. We had Leia the first season, now Luke, right? And then him communing with Qui-Gon, and then him, maybe some, again, Reva is out there and some more Inquisitor stuff. So I don't know. If we need it. Do we need the day-to-day of Obi-Wan Kenobi and fill in every aspect of it? Do we need to see him confront Maul in live action like they did in Rebels? Like, that's a lot of cool things, but I don't know. I kind of get excited for brand new shows that give us brand new characters, vehicles, planets, all these things. And as to me, it's like one of those things. If they announced a Kenobi season 2, I'd be like, all right, well, we could probably sit here and theory craft the whole season, and kind of like it is what it is, and we just watch it for that aspect, that the story that they're going to give us. But I'm waiting to get excited for a brand new venture in Star Wars. Now, Ahsoka is doing it for me. Mandalorian season series is doing it for me too. But a whole brand new like everything, because again, Ahsoka can only go for Mandalorian can only go so far until you bump heads with the sequels and where the story goes from there. Like all these characters, we know the end points of a lot of these people. Back in, like, speaking of like the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace, going back, it was so exciting to sit there and talk about what aliens we're going to see, what planets we're going to see, what vehicles, what troopers, how is this going to play out, and of course all the merchandising that comes with it. A brand new everything would be so good, Let's see, Don, are you saying they need to bring in the young ones? Is that meaning like to bring them more familiar of like that original trilogy timeline? Because I do get that the kids don't get excited for the original trilogy. They like the Phantom Menace. That's more, it is more kids friendly, and it is, and the sequels too are kind of like their Star Wars and whatnot. And maybe that is something where it's like reintroducing these characters in this and more exciting modern times of filming and action and all that stuff that will get him more, kind of like, invested in the Star Wars and Kenobi and all that moving forward. So if that's what you're saying, I can get that. But like us, as we've been waiting for so long for like new stuff, and they promised, they mentioned, Lucasfilm mentioned that they were going to get out of this original trilogy era and start moving back and forth. And I know that's going to take time because we still got the Dawn of the Jedi movie, we got the forward movies and all that stuff. It is going to take time, but at the same time, all these sequels to things, like if Book of Fett 2, if they do Kenobi 2, it's like, okay, when are we going to start moving away and getting brand new stuff again? We'll see. Let's see. Mando Mike is saying, based on Luke not knowing who really the crazy old man is, I don't see season 2 focusing on an Obi-Wan Luke relationship. Yeah, that is a good point too, because just that sentence alone in the original trilogy is that I thought he was just a crazy old hermit, right? So do we see that, or is like, are they going to show us that again? Are we going to start seeing the day-to-day life of Kenobi in the next 10 years until A New Hope? And I guess my point was like, let's put our resources into stuff like Ahsoka, where it was like this thrust into us a new adventure and stuff like that. Let's kind of get away from trying to spell out everything in Star Wars. I don't think we as a fan base need everything spoon fed to us. We can leave us some things for imagination. Leave us that 10 years of him and Qui-Gon, maybe in a book or comic, or references and things like that. But like, to see everything gives us nothing to talk about anymore, right? I guess that's my fear. Less is more in a way. Yes, we'll all be there for consumption. We consume Star Wars, but that's just, again, my hot take. I'm sure if it came out with anything, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Another actor, see, like Ewan McGregor wants to be involved in more stuff that I don't know if anybody's asking for. And then you have Gina Carano coming back and saying that she wants back in Star Wars to fulfill the promises that it was laid on the table and kind of stolen from her. That's her words. Cara Dune's character, see where it went, and now we have this whole lawsuit that she has brought to Disney. Now Disney has not responded. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere, but it's a statement. Like, I think it's more of a statement. Like, she's coming out and suing them for money that she could have earned, and put her character back in those projects that they pulled, like Rangers of the Republic. We as a fan, or here, what we do is we just kind of talk about what they filmed and what they give us, not what they should have or what they could have. Okay, so to me, Rangers of the New Republic isn't a thing until it was a thing. It'd be different if they was in full production and then they just took her right out. We don't know all the details, but don't know where that lawsuit's going to go anyway, too. The reason, and it was funny because, like, why would somebody who's suing the pants off of Disney want to come back and work for them? And we had this kind of discussion within the group and online too. I've seen it all over the place where she's coming back to the people of Lucasfilm, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. Those are the people. And I think that she had a very, very good positive experience within Lucasfilm. Now, it was Disney who she has the problem with, the executives, the ones who sign the check, the ones who greenlight stuff. They're not story group. Lucasfilm is a story group, and they do all these things. But Disney has their line in the sand politics that they want people involved that match their ideas. They're a private company; they can do that. Right or wrong, as far as like it's up to the individual to accept it or whatever. But like they drew a line in the sand. She stepped over it. They told her not to. She kept doing it because, hey, that's her right to do it. But she also should understand who she went to go work for in that grand scheme of things. If they're going to ask her all these things, knowing that they were going to ask her to stop and not stop, as that's where it's like, okay, who do you blame on that, right? So, yeah. So, we got Gordon Skalski checking in. Hey, Sarlakians, just checking in. Happy 250th. Congrats, lads. That's in about 4 episodes. We will get into the 250th, which everything is changing. I'm just teasing it right now. Everything is changing. Not the logo, because we just did that, but I'm talking like we've got so much stuff planned and some exciting, cool things, like interactive things for our pit to do. And our Patreon, and it's gonna be fun. So I can't wait for that. Thank you, Gordon, for that. Yeah. So Mando Mike, again, I wanted to bring this up because I do want a dialogue with this, right? So Mando Mike is saying, going back to the Gina Carano thing, is Disney needs to swallow their social pride and squash it and bring her back. Okay. So I know that the new powers, that Bob Iger was saying, like, look, we're not going to focus in on the quote unquote like politics and messaging and bring story back into the fold. And that's where everybody is like us. We're like, yeah, just make stories. Look, man, do your thing, make stories. But this public outcry of everything is really starting to hinder on people's enjoyment and their hobbies and their pop culture icons. I'm looking behind us. We've got toys that surround us with fake characters and fake worlds. That should tell you something about the audience, for Hollywood in general. We don't look. Inclusion is very important. It just doesn't need to be the focal point of everything. Just do it. Just put the people in that you're going to put in, and just do that. But yeah, I think the messaging should be take a step back, and tell us some good stories. I think everybody will kind of go and fall in line. But again, saying that again, Mike, it's like, where Disney's, where they draw the line in the sand. Everybody knows it. It wasn't a shock, right? That they were going to push back on any of that stuff. So we'll see. Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. As far as Cara Dune now, that's another thing too. It's okay. Now, taking the real life politics out of it, where does Cara Dune's character go? Again, saying that Rangers of the Republic was a title on a thing that got her head spinning, their minds going on the theories. But where did we leave off? She was on Navarro as, I think she went back to the New Republic, and she's the one who escorted Moff Gideon to trial. And that's the last we heard. It was off camera mention of her character and where she's at. I think that's going to be the norm with Grief Karga's character too, Carl Weathers too. I think they're just going to mention him and be off camera. So as cool as Cara Dune was in Mando, and how much we could have gotten, all that stuff, and a whole show that whatever. So I'm in the camp of like, yeah, if the story calls for it, bring her back, bring it back. And and then you're gonna have to, like, again, like Mike said, you're gonna have to swallow that pill and bring her back if the story calls for it. If there's that much. If her character means that much that it's going to propel a lot more and sell more or whatever it is, that's their decision. But I think for the most part, we could just move on too, because of how Mando season 3 ended. It was final. It was like this retirement home thing, and now you can pluck Mando and Grogu into any adventure after the first 3 seasons of Mandalorian. Every character can change at this point. And maybe that's by design too. Maybe because of the events, they designed it that way, recorded it that way, and now it's like, well, we're backs not against the wall on anything. We can do whatever we want. And that might be the new direction that all these other shows that they're announcing and whatnot and go. So Crystal E checking in with the high E. So what's up, Crystal? Yeah, Mike, that with her arc is pretty much done, but give her a paycheck and bring her story off to an offshoot of adventure. I mean, that was the initial plan. Right. So again, it's not canon until it's canon. It's not a thing until it's a thing. They announced a premature Disney happened, or they happen to do a lot of things as prematurely announcing projects and then withdrawing, which is also kind of like frustrating for us too, because we're like, just come on, man, like give us a date so we can stand in line, go to the movie theater, watch Disney Plus, podcast about it, talk about it, geek out, and move on to our mundane lives. I mean, our day-to-day lives. Let's do that. Let's so the whole announcing and pushing back it got old and it got frustrating. I think that's where a lot of fans will push back on most anything Disney says they need these days. So I don't know. We'll see, but it's interesting nonetheless. I kind of like focusing my stuff on like where Ahsoka is going, in the season 2, or where the Mandalorian Grogu movie is going, where all of that is going. Like I said, how they made it to where the Mando and Grogu can be thrust into any story moving forward, brand new, existing, whatever it is exciting. And of course, we're going to see where the Acolyte takes us, and we're going to see where the Skeleton Crew takes us. And if that kind of makes my point at the beginning of this, what I was talking about as new worlds and new aliens and creatures, that we have those coming out this year too. A lot of new news is that Acolyte is going to be this summer. It's almost like they're saying like guaranteed this summer it's coming. So we'll see. Right after Bad Batch, we got a little buffer zone, and then hopefully we get into the Acolyte, which is all the talk around town is shaping up to be very exciting. You know what I mean? As far as like dark side, Sith users, all that stuff. So we'll see where that goes. We were talking about in the chat, or like with the other guys and stuff. We're talking about High Republic and how it ties into the Acolyte. Like Acolyte is supposed to be this show that takes it's in that time era of the High Republic, and now the High Republic is this separate thing that only a handful of people are consuming. And I think it's because of the books and the comics, and we try to keep up with that stuff. It's not enough of it, and I don't think there's enough attention to it. I don't think enough people care. So let's maybe bring that into a series, an animated series or live action, and then you might have a lot more interest in her, because there is an untapped canon market that has been existing for, I don't know, 3-4 years now. High Republic, it's canon. That like there's canon content, and it's a whole multimedia outlet thing, and it's supposed to like, again, like finalize with the Acolyte. And to me, I feel like not everybody, it's not even the talk. We don't even bring that into our talk. We don't even bring that to our theories, High Republic stuff, I think Scott is the only one who's kind of consumed most of it, and Chris has more than I have. So I don't know what we're missing. Like, what are we missing that could be exciting enough to be like, yeah, guys, like, there's just all this world that's going on. And then when we see the Acolyte, we're like, aha, those aha moments. So it's sad that we might be missing some things. I don't know. And it could have been just like, hey guys, here's all these books, go read them. Where instead of like a Disney Plus show, which is like, hey, it's 14 or, whatever it is a month, $14-15 a month versus hundreds of dollars worth of audiobooks and books. It's like, it's a lot to consume, because there is a lot of that going on. Yeah, Mando, even new seasons. Yeah. So, let's see here. We got Michael is checking in. Federation representation. Yeah, again, Fallen Fett decided to take off and celebrate Valentine's Day too, which is cool. And he didn't even do a show over there. But yeah, hoping you and the family are doing great. Mooch, baby. Abigail says hi. Abigail, we cannot wait until you say your first words. And, we'll have to make a big deal about it, because it better be something Star Wars. That's all. So I'm glad everything is going good. And thanks for checking in. So Mando Mike, yeah, even new seasons, like as far as like what? Are you talking about High Republic stuff? Acolyte, what is the new seasons question mark? Get back to me on that. So let's see, Mando. Yeah, man, again with the whole exploring new things in the Mando Grogu movie, we have a galaxy of characters to cameo. Any hopes? Yeah, and I guess it's if the Mando Grogu movie is going to be directly connected to what they're establishing in the Mandoverse, the Ahsoka movies going forward, or is it going to be just this fun standalone adventure to get? I mean, a lot of people already invested into it and love Grogu and all that, but a theatrical movie, can really bring in the masses to it, and a lot of people, catch up. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so bringing in I expect new things. I expect new aliens and planets and all that stuff. But like the slew of it, like when we had Phantom Menace and the announcements of the prequels, there was an excitement in the air. And I was talking to Chris with like this before when I used to live across the street from Chris, and we used to meet all the time and do like Star Wars marathons and whatnot. And it was the talk. It was like, because we were both collecting, and it was all Power of the Force 2 stuff. So it was all original trilogy stuff. We had not one new character that we were doing, and our excitement was like, we get to collect so many new characters, even though there is an Anakin and Obi-Wan and all that stuff. But it's just new. It's brand new. It's refreshing, right? And if we keep continuing to play in that original trilogy sandbox, which is great for storytelling, but it's only given us a little bit of breadcrumbs into it and building on a bigger thing, which is, again, great. I don't think anybody's complaining about it, but that excitement, that we're missing, that buzz in the atmosphere of like, the toy release. I'm talking to toys because, that's what we do, but just all the magazines and all the hype and all the TV ads. And it was just so fun to dive into the expanded world of Star Wars, which I do see, like I said, Ahsoka, they went to another galaxy and then we went to an abandoned planet, which all had the Night Sisters, and then they came back. And so it was like pulling aspects into our existing world, and still in that, Mando is still in the 5-6 years, from the original trilogy. And then, like I said, I don't think the sequels did enough of it. It was just like more of the same. You know what I mean? Again, Chris and Scott are not here to stop me about the sequels, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to go too far on it. I'm just saying it didn't do enough. It didn't bring us familiar aliens, but it didn't do enough to differentiate the aliens that they gave us. And it was like, and then they just had shinier stormtroopers, and it wasn't like battle droids and stormtroopers. Okay. I guess that's my point, but I digress on that. I won't talk about the sequels unless I have something good to say. I will promise that, but you're going to have to unleash me one day. I'll have to go off and again and until I get what I want. But that's why I'm looking forward to the 25,000 years prior, the dawn of the Jedi. That's because, again, it's that everything's brand new, right? Clear off a shelf. We got new toys and stuff. Yeah. Rhino Hobbies. I'd love to see Gina come back. Yeah, I don't think anybody here had a problem with her and her performance. Like, that was it was great. Like, we talk about all the time that the hallway, like, we talk about Vader's hallway scene, we talk about Luke's hallway scene, and then we talk about the badasses hallway scene. Bo-Katan, Sasha's character, I forgot her name already. Gina, Cara Dune, and again, forgot her name, but it was a badass hallway scene, and she brought a lot of that muscle and the whole Alderaan relationship to it, and it was great. So I was bummed that she got thrown out of the mix of it, and I was more bummed that it was like it came into like this real world stuff that we deal with every day, and we don't want to see that in Star Wars. And yeah, so I get it. It sucks, and I think the people that hurt the most, besides, like I said, Gina, her and her career and all that stuff, it's us, because when they pull people out of it because of things that could have been, see, that's the whole thing about it, right? It could have been avoided. This whole thing could have been avoided because, I get, like, I'm not trying to take anybody's actors or whatever activists or their free speech away. I said, but that's like you're working again, you're working for a company that does that. And unfortunately, it happens. They're a private industry and they can do it, unfortunately. Okay. Um, but that's America, man. That's it's protected. And I think in no way, shape, or form, I think that she didn't do that much damage that she could bring it back. I mean, there's been worse things out there, right? Like, if they could do it with James Gunn, bring him back, but that was like a thing from 10 years ago that he got in trouble, that it came to fruition. But I still think that Disney hired James Gunn knowing all the stuff that he used to, inappropriate tweets, and they were jokes and stuff. They were just kind of like that, blue collar humor. He worked blue, and it shows, right? So, and he got in trouble for it. They fired him for a month and they hired him back. He did Guardians. Now he's over at DC, and I'm sure he'll do more Guardian stuff and whatnot. But yeah. So let's see here. Mando Mike, she's badass, man. She's a badass, man. Kicked Mando's rear. And she's easy on the eyes as well. I censored myself. Funny. Yeah, so it was yeah, so no, she's great, man. She added a lot of necessary muscle to that side. It's always been like the bad guys always have the better machinery, the better weapons, the better villains, the better costumes, and she added that aspect of like, oh look, the good guys have somebody like that too now, and goes in there and just punches her way through it, and like, awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, and yeah, she's a beautiful woman too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's all up in the air. I think a lot of people should have that attitude of like, look, we don't have control of it. We have to sit back and let it happen. Definitely let your voice be heard. No one in this world will tell you to censor you. No one's going to censor anybody. It's a slippery slope when you start in one thing and it can go on to another thing. But also know your environment, know your surroundings, and if you're gonna be in Star Wars, be in Star Wars. Let's go, right? It's I think life's too dangerous and too short to be that vested in things out of our control, right? So, and the one things that we can't control Star Wars either, but it's one thing that we dive into and we can theory craft our ways out of certain situations, like the sequels. We can theory craft our way around a lot of that stuff, but when it comes to the sitting watching it, that's another thing. But we'll see. But I don't know. I don't think that Empire Magazine article came out yet, so I don't know. I know that there's highlights that I've read and all that stuff, and I don't think there's anything other than everybody wants to come back. Even Natalie Portman says, I want to come back. And I'm like, yeah, cool. You died in the movie, right? Now. But as flashbacks and all that stuff, that'd be great. Yeah, Mando, Mike, he's saying humans will be human. Yeah, 100%. Business versus personal. I get it. It was too extreme. Sure. It depends on if you're Disney, it wasn't too extreme, and everybody else watching or certain people watching, it was too extreme. And again, that's a disagreement. That's an argument. There's miscommunication on both sides, and egos and pride get in the way of most everything in this world, and it damages a lot of things. But going back to that Empire Magazine, the Sam Jackson thing, he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. At what point do we think there's going to be some sort of answer, even if it's an actual statement from like Dave Filoni, since he is the story guy now, right? If he goes, look, it'd be great, but I just don't see a path around it, or it's something that they're worried. Like I'm waiting for somebody somewhere to break the silence on Samuel Jackson and Mace Windu coming back. We have all theory crafted him coming back, and where he can come back and how he can come back. It's just that when is the dam going to break and somebody going to break the silence? That would be cool. Let's see what Michael said here. Michael, you will definitely know Abigail's first words. Also, with all the Gina talk, do you remember watching her on MTV True Life? And I want to be a Muay Thai fighter. Oh, type. Okay, she had a great MMA career till Cyborg grew up. So I I didn't know of her until Deadpool. When she again played uh, you know, the muscle, badass. I didn't know of her. That I didn't follow her on MMA. And if I did, it went over my head. Um, and I thought she was a great, like I said, just a great addition. It's one of those things where like certain wrestlers in MMA get into acting and they're fantastic. Like Batista is fantastic. He's a great actor. You never would have thought, right? But coming from the MMA world, she had to get there and be trusted with that kind of stuff. So I think she was hired on looks first because they needed somebody that was like, I'm gonna punch a hole through this wall, and that's like she had that look, no problem, hands down. Yeah. Um. Yeah, Disney. Yeah, tell me about a little movie you made called Songs of the South. Yeah, I mean, and then Rhino Hobbies is saying that. Yeah, sure. It's and of course that statement right there, and look what they're doing. They're tearing down rides that were based off of it, and they're censoring the stuff that they've done in the past, all that stuff. So it's always like politics in Hollywood is always like a pendulum, right? The pendulum never is in the middle. It's always far here and always far there. So they were like, either they go full on and it just like, whoa, all these things are a little too, like that was a little bit overboard. And then they go, okay, we're going to wipe it all way back to the other side where they just cancel everything and delete everything that they did. Never everything is in the middle. So, and it's not just Disney. It goes with everything. It could have been on this show too. We could have. I usually the one that says something bad, and then the next 2 episodes I don't say anything, and then I'll go back and forth and stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. With Gina Carano, there's the age thing too. We saw 30 years later with our main character Sam Jackson. Oh, let's go with Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson would be a welcome sight before age catches up too much, I think. Yeah. If it's almost like if you're going to do something, now's the time. Do it now. Bring him in. Dave Filoni's a smart person. He's one of us. He can know no body, no death. That is like Hollywood 101 with anybody. And I know Chris says stuff like, that's different from heroes and villains, but like Sam or Mace Windu could be argued both in certain ways. There was a picture of him with like missing one eye and like maybe, if they can cut Darth Maul in half and find him in a trash bin junkyard and bring him back to one of the best characters of Star Wars, then they could do it with Mace Windu, or do the whole cloning thing with Heir of the Empire. Like, right, we think the story is going Heir of the Empire way and have Mace Windu either as a clone with 2 U's, or something. But a welcome sight, absolutely. We'll see. I know Scott will disagree because he doesn't like Mace Windu as a character in general. But we'll see. Offending somebody builds character. Yeah, oh, sure. It's always a trope, right? Offending is part of a lot of character 101. How does this person do anything? But in real life, Mike, oh yeah, it builds character too. Sure. But there's consequences on some of that character too, right? What you're building. Her movie Haywire is good. I haven't seen that. Again, my first introduction to her was Deadpool 2. And I thought it was great. And so when she was announced for Mandalorian, I was like, hell yeah, let's get this. And then we got Mandalorian was awesome. So I don't think anybody's opposed for a return. And that's up to the relationship between her and Disney and Lucasfilm, right? That they have to work that out. Now, this is all coming to fruition because of she's suing them. And then it's like suing them to get her job. Is she suing them to get her job back, or is she just suing them to make a statement? And that's where it has to be like, a judge or a court has to accept that lawsuit and then try to go forward with it. If there's merit in it, it'll go forward, I believe. And then Disney's forced to answer for that kind of stuff. If it's a statement, then it's going to go nowhere. And I think it's just going to divide people more of the would have, could have, should have. This is what we could have happened if Disney, blah, 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 and that's going to separate the talk a little bit more instead of concentrating on what we have and what's announced and moving beyond and stuff again. I never like to too much. I never like to like put in my hobbies and my entertainment of like, oh, I could have had this, because I didn't grow up that way. When we saw something in a movie theater, we just like went to school the next day and just talked about it no matter what. Ghostbusters 2 is a perfect example. It was a highly anticipated sequel. At the time, it was like, oh man, this is like way over the top, corny, cheesy, all that stuff. Today, it's probably one of the funniest movies. I grow to appreciate it, but it wasn't something that we petitioned to change. We didn't see these interviews coming out like we were going to do this, but then we decided to do this, and then everybody goes, oh, that's what we could have. You robbed us of what we could have gotten. So I think a lot of us have to like put it in like, okay, this is what we got in our Star Wars canon timeline. This is what we talk about. All the projects that have been canceled. I mean, it'd be great to see that what have been, but I don't think we can put it as in like life and death, meaning like, okay, Star Wars is destroyed because they didn't give us this, like with Rise of Skywalker, Justin Trevorrow, right? Or his script leaked and everybody's like, that would have been awesome. And then other people are like, wait a second, that was like way different. Especially even George Lucas's proposed scripts that leaked that says like, this is where he was going. Everybody's like, he should have wrote the, 789. I agree. He should have wrote 789 back in 1990 or 1985, 1986. That's when the perfect timing was to write 789. It didn't happen. And then we got the prequels instead of like the continuing adventures of Luke, Leia, and Han. We get them 33 years later. I don't know how much we could put those characters in at that age, in that time frame, to change a lot of stuff. In my opinion, maybe we shouldn't have gone them without. Maybe we should have gone further out and had them as legacy characters by mention and their influences instead of actually seeing them, because what we got was deaths on screen and finalized in other. Now the whole fandom just kind of imploded on our legacy characters to propel the new characters. I'm like, well, that's the only direction they thought they had to go. It was almost like effort too late, Yeah. Let's see. Mando Mike says, I forgot a week later that she what she even said. Yeah, I didn't care enough. Till this day, I don't remember. Yeah. It was more like a smart kind of like remark, sarcastic, and from what I know, that they told her to stop, and basically she doubled down. They told her to stop. She tripled down, and they're like, all right, well, we don't have to deal with this. Out of here. It was something like that. I don't know. I don't think it was like life or death to what she said. I don't know. It didn't affect me. And that isn't taking the ignorant step of it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't. I don't know. I don't know what she said as far as like the impact on whatever it was. So. Yeah. Oh, Gordon, see, this is where it goes right here. How about Tales of the Jedi Mace story? That's where I think we will get the return of Sam Jackson's voice, or, Mace Windu in general. That's a perfect opportunity. Now, I think Tales of the Jedi should just be an ongoing thing, right? It should just take characters and just do a concentrated format on them. And continue it and go, because again, it's all canon. You can fill in loopholes with those. You can retcon things, maybe, I don't know. But would it work if we got a Tales from the Jedi of how he survived and then got him in, let's say, the Mando Grogu movie? Like, okay, now it would work probably for us, right? Because we consume everything, we talk about it and all that stuff. But let's say the general masses that go to the movie theater to see a Star Wars title movie, and they walk in there and they go, okay, Sam Jackson's in there, but didn't he die? Didn't he die? And then now it's got to be explained by everybody who's like us, right? We have to explain to them. Well, in the cartoon, Tales of the Jedi, he didn't die. This is how he survived. And then it gets real convoluted, right? So either or, right, Mike Gordon? It's like bring him in, Tales of the Jedi, and I think that'll satisfy a lot of people. Or tell the story in the long format too, right? Either or. So do this, I don't know if you can do both. Maybe with Mace you can. I don't know, but like maybe they shouldn't do both. Maybe it should just be like, here's Mace Windu tells him a Jedi stuff, even not past, and then like how he survived, if he survived, or put him in the movie and tell it that way, because then like I said, it's out there, it's in the masses, everybody's seen it. The movies are the number one thing everybody consumes. Disney Plus would be the second, as far as like people's memories, right? The general masses, we consume everything. The general masses do movies, and then you cut that percentage in half that does Disney Plus, though, and then you cut this percentage way down for animated stuff. Animated stuff does not get viewed as much as live action, and then cut that even more with books and comics. So to have everything canon is kind of, it gets very convoluted and misguided and very confusing, let's see. Michael is saying, do you think we will see those creatures that cancel out the Force? Oh, yeah, great. Star Wars fan don't know what those are, but yes, so Thrawn has these creatures that block the Force from protect him from Force users, so they can't use the Force on him and stuff like that. Yes, maybe that's what's in those coffin things that they were taken from that planet in Ahsoka, right? Maybe it's all those creatures that are on that planet, and now he's going to Dathomir, and now Dathomir is going to be this planet where Jedi, if they come back, they really basically can't invade, or they as warriors, yeah, but not like Force using and stuff like that. Or that would be interesting, right? So I do think they're going to bring those creatures in. Definitely, 100%. That is a Thrawn trademark, and I think we're going to see it. We might even see it. Like I said, if the next time we see him, if it's in the Grogu Mando movie or Ahsoka season 2 or Mando season 4, whatever, I think we're going to get a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it works very. Mando Mike saying huge prequel fan base, bring them back to. Yeah, that's Mace Windu comment. So sure, Star Wars is easy to bring people back. I mean, they do it all the time, and that's Vanilla Thunder is checking in. Hey, what's up? Putting the whole show on his back. What a legend. Are you talking about Thrawn or are you talking about Mace Windu? Because if you're talking about Thrawn, he's like that is a huge I don't know, what do you call it, like pressure, because Thrawn is a villain with a mass. He's a villain. I don't know if he's dangerous by himself, but he's a villain. He's dangerous when he controls a lot of things. So we'll see. We'll see what that if it's Mace Windu about putting us on the back. I don't know what, unless he's the Dark Jedi that's in the Heir of the Empire, that it's going to be Mace Windu, and moving forward to maybe something about bringing the Emperor back. I don't know. It's all up in the air right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Vanilla Thunder. Thank you, man. You know where my head goes? It goes, he's talking about me and the Starlight Digest. Yeah, I put this whole show on my back today. I'm doing the Lonely Hearts episode. I've got my Valentine's Day Hate Never Dies shirt, perfect for me. I got the red background. I'm all in the mood, man. So the other guys are sitting in the living room with their significant other, watching TV, Sorry, that was yeah. So yeah, no, thank you guys for that. You could see me ramble on for a little bit here. So that's cool. Let's see here. Okay. Philippe, what's up, man? Why does a film or a show have to drop for a character to be hot? Whatever happened to a character being hyped simply because he's badass? Darth Maul, right? That would be like a perfect example. What the first images that we saw was just an image, and everybody, I mean, they made a whole surrounding on this villain, and then they killed him. You know what I mean? But maybe I think where you saw like bringing Mace Windu back. My thing is like, why don't you just leave people, like, dead should be dead, and especially in Star Wars. And that's what I always appreciated as a kid, whereas like there was only 3 movies to go by, and the Emperor is dead, the Darth Vader's dead, Obi-Wan was, a spirit but dead, and it was like it was never the aha gotcha moments and stuff like that. That's why it was a progression, Hey, Amanda, Mike, Cara Dune was hot. There, I uncensored myself. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agreed. I think Star Wars does great jobs on villains. Like the Inquisitors are awesome, but they didn't do anything. Darth Maul was one of he was the key element of like, this guy is going to be the face of the prequels, right? And then they killed him, and then so yeah, Darth Maul is Dawn of Dad is his favorite character. After the events of the sequels or the prequels, yeah, and then the way they brought him back and had this whole arc on it, and it was he ends up being like such an in-depth character arc. It was great. It's fantastic. Felipe, I remember liking Spider-Man before I knew he was a comic character or a cartoon. I can relate to that because as a kid, we would meet and do a meet and greets of like characters at malls and stuff, and Spider-Man was there. I was just like, this is, an icon, like a Spider-Man, a superhero. Before I even got into comics, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old. I remember seeing like Spider-Man at the mall and in meet and greeting and being like, getting a little toy and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I discovered who he was as growing up and stuff too. The magic is gone these days because of social media. They can never just give us a trailer in a movie. Like we sit down and there's a trailer. It's like, oh my God, it's a sequel to a movie or a brand new movie. And then 3 months later we see it. And then there's nothing after. There's no director's cut. There's no, you have press releases for hype in the movie, but there's no like interviews and drama and this and that. It's like, and then we take it back and we talk about the movie. And then maybe a year or 2 years later, it's part 2. And we're like, oh my God. And we knew nothing about it. I do miss those days. I think the information is too easy to get everybody kind of like hyped around things. And then it's time to marinate. Like you announce an actor or an actress, and then you have time to think about it. Like at first you're like, that's a great casting. And then you're like, okay, but then you see another movie, like, oh yeah, and it just doesn't fit. And now you've talked yourself right out of it. And then you're watching a movie. I'm not saying us, but this is what happens. Then you watch the movie and then it's like, man, that sucked. This and that. It bombed before it even came out. It's just it's a bad thing. And I don't know how to get out of that. We can't turn ourselves off of it. It's impossible. The world is not made anymore to turn yourselves off. It's up to the companies to do it, and they're never going to do it, right? They think hyping it a year, 2 years before makes them money, but like every show bombs before it comes out. The word bomb is there before it even touches the screen. So yeah. Let's see, Rhino Hobbies. I would love to see more Maul and Kira stories. Maybe call it Star Wars Underworld. I would love it. I think we're owed. I think the masses are owed a Darth Maul live action in even it's in the Lando stuff going, a Solo 2, because you can't bring them back the way they did on Solo. And I say bring them back, I'm talking about like the masses, right? Not us who consume the Clone Wars and Rebels and those, again, very smaller mass of people consume those. And now we're on the business of explaining it. They owe us that, where they need to bring Maul back now into the fold, into the fray. It helps. It does. It really helps. Yeah, Kira's story too, man. Like she's going off in the books and comics and a lot of Crimson Dawn stuff, but I don't know how well that's translating over. Again, Scott would he's the one who consumes most of that, and it doesn't come up in our convos a lot, so I don't know how much of it is good. And are they doing their job bringing it in canon and stuff? Like you introduce a lot of these cool characters live action, and then you have their story continue in books and comics, and then you bring another movie with none of those characters are coming back. It confuses the hell out of everybody, So, yeah. So that's the thing. Felipe says, I was introduced to Spider-Man as a Mego doll. That's what I had, and that's what, again, it's that the nostalgia for us is so special, so powerful. And I don't know if that's even a roundtable mention today in today's world, be it toys or movies and stuff like that. They don't have that concept of tapping into longevity. They want that quick buck. Let's just remake Ninja Turtles. Let's just remake Transformers and G.I. Joe and Star Wars and all that stuff. And and not come up with a new IP that has that much effort and thought process and as those. And it's so simple. Like G.I. Joe is a simple concept. He-Man's a simple concept, and they did it so fantasy and so cartoony that it worked, right? Now I think they tried that today. I think they try too hard to ground it into like today's realities and stuff. I'm like, just make it, call it magic and call it a day. Get these kids excited for something, right? Get them excited to sit down Saturday morning and then see the toy at the toy aisle and take it home. Or have this character, like, again, where's the imagination, man? It's like, it's I don't know, man. Maybe the wrong people are doing the stories. So yeah, that would be my Mano Mike saying, what would a solo 2, Maul and Kira? To me, here's the thing. You could do a solo 2 with Maul and Kira and like that in that whole thing, or you can say Solo, and then you can have Lando, right? And Lando, you can bring back Solo as the supporting character, either it doesn't matter all the whole movie or half the movie, but then now Lando has to deal with Crimson Dawn and Kira and Maul and stuff like that. That would be cool. And then you could do basically a trilogy with 3 different character titles. My idea would have been like Solo, Lando, Fett, because you tie in Boba Fett to all everything. Or the last movie would be called Crimson Dawn, right? That so you would have this whole underworld adventure thing, bringing in that side of Star Wars, utilizing Lando and Solo and Boba Fett, right? And they have to basically break up Crimson Dawn or see where the power is and stuff like that. Would have been awesome, I think. Again, the whole could have, should have, would have thing coming back around, right? Yeah, see, Mando Mike story. As a kid, we went to different kids in the neighborhood to play, and we had one brother and sister that always played with the naked Migo and naked Barbies. Like, yeah, they're close, right? Again, it made you question, right? You just didn't accept. You didn't go on Facebook and all these things and like, oh, that's where it's from. It's the sense of discovery, where I think that as adults we latch onto it. That's why that's why I'm buying stuff from my childhood today, and I it's it's the discovery, because we remember discovering it as kids, as we had no choices. Most of us, were home alone watching TV. So now when we go out as adults, we're rediscovering those childhoods and wishing the kids of today, it's like catch-22, right? We're wishing the kids of today would have that sense of discovery and nostalgia, but also at the same time, we're like, get off my lawn. This is my stuff, because Ninja Turtles was mine. Now it's yours again. It's like, yeah. So, I don't know. It's a funny way of seeing things sometimes, where we want the nostalgia to be for everybody, but at the same time, we kind of gatekeep it. Or I say I'm in that puddle. We gatekeep it too, where we'll bash on anything that comes out. If they put a Transformers moving out, they were like, no, arms folded. That's not my Transformers. Because we're always clamoring for that. The first 10 minutes of Bumblebee, that's the Transformers we want. That's the 80s Transformers, high fantasy, over the top. You don't have to explain what Energon is. It's just there, right? It's just, this is go. So yeah, give the kids the imaginations that we were given of like Eternia, He-Man. What is Eternia and He-Man? All those things, even Star Wars, the Force and all that stuff. It was explained to us as a binding, living energy field. We don't need microscopic organisms that tell us about it. We don't need that explanation. You just you took that imagination and creativity out of us and explained it by science. And again, I'm all for science, but in movies, let's just have some dialogue and some imagination. It goes a long way. It propels future storytellers, right? So anyway, I'm winding down here. I've ranted for an hour. You guys let me rant. I appreciate all you guys in here that is taking the time to see a solo show, not a collective. I know we will be back next week. Crystal East down with science in movies, right? In the movies, because we want to be shown legends and myths and stuff like that. And, it takes the fun out of it sometimes in movies, right? So, but next week we'll be back. I think the full crew will be back. We have Bad Batch to break down. I'm hoping that we have a lot of content to break down. Of course, we don't go scene by scene. We will break it down and make sure all the impactful moments that are impacting canon and stuff, we're going to, of course, talk about it. Yeah. So Mando, yeah, like we are definitely going to start opening it up to everybody. Cause again, we always, he's saying if I was off, he would have joined for sure. Yeah. We are a community, the Star Wars community, and we want to act like it. We want to act like it was not just like a few people here that are just giving your guys' opinions. I think you do a great job as a community here, and we get it all out on a table, and we're not afraid of like putting in the politics behind it and having a civil discussion behind it, and kind of saying it is, it is what it is, without turning it off, arms folded, walking away. I think we're all great in that aspect, and I think the community that we're building is awesome. So we need content. We need Star Wars content. Starting next week, we have lots, and then we'll go on to other news and rumors and theories that come out the next week, and continue, and then we'll keep our ears to the ground on release dates for Acolyte, Skeleton Crew at the end of the year, Tales from Jedi 2. Next year we have Andor's film, so guaranteed to have Andor coming next year. I don't know what else. I don't know what else next year brings. So we'll see. But let's get through this year first, right? And then, of course, we have our era of movies. Speaking of, like, just real fast, I want to just leave you guys with this. Like, the next 7 years, including this year, the next 7 years, we are celebrating milestones in Star Wars, from 10-year anniversaries to 50-year anniversaries every single year. Starting with this year, 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. Next year is the 25th. So 2025, we've got the 20th anniversary of Episode 3. And then, of course, the 10-year anniversary of Episode 7. And then every year, it's a 10-year of Rogue One, 10-year Episode 8, 10-year of Solo. So every year we're going to get stuff. And take note, Hasbro and all the people that are making the toys, these are the pinnacle moments to revitalize your toy lines and reintroduce people to Star Wars by hitting home on those anniversaries. Get those toys in people's hands of the characters that need to be. Use the anniversaries as your launching points, to get that into people's hands and get back into that collecting world. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Thank you so much, everybody in the pit. Thank you to our Patreons. We've got so much coming. We've been working on a lot of cool stuff. I think you guys are going to be very pleased, especially with the content that we have for this channel too. So with our flagship Wednesdays, we're going to bring on a lot more stuff that we'll tease and stuff very, very soon also. So I think with that, of course, like, subscribe, tell a friend, get us over here. If you're on the replay crew, thank you so much. Leave a comment of all the stuff that we discussed today in the comments. And, let's keep the conversation going. You could check us out, of course, on our Facebook page. We have the Facebook Starlight Digest Star Wars community. A lot of memes get posted in there, a lot of funny memes, some, announcements of toys and trailers and stuff. But, we kind of want to get that going. We want to make sure that the conversation doesn't stop, Thank you, Mando. Thank you for that right there. I appreciate it. A little nervous coming on by myself and not having a lot to say, but of course, I mean, whenever you guys known me not to say very little, right? So, I think with that, we're going to get out of here. You guys have the rest of the evening, a good rest of the evening. Thank you, Felipe. Let's see what else. Tashi Station Emporium. If you guys are in the collecting world and need stands, go to Tashi Station. The link is in the description below for 10% off your entire purchase. You got the Federation that you're going to be listening to on Wednesdays before our show. So hit Ernie up as Federation and then come over and listen to us. And again, the whole community is great. Thank you so much. And with that, I will do Scott's yes. Like I said, no time for love, Dr. Jones. No time for love. And I will be singing Love Stinks. So again, hate never dies. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I will see you next week. And with that, you know what? Keep it nerdy.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.